Welcome back. If you are in the world of e-commerce, you already know. The next few weeks, well, they're the big ones.
It's the Super Bowl, really.
Exactly. And when we talk about paid search for Black Friday, the competition just goes from uh, tough to absolutely cutthroat. Getting your strategy right now is everything.
It really is. And that's what we're doing today, diving into the sources to give you that critical edge. We've organized the research around, well, what we're calling the ABCs of Black Friday readiness.
ABCs, I like it. What are they?
Automation, budgets, and creatives. And our goal here isn't just high-level reminders. We want to give you the tactical nuts and bolts knowledge you need to adjust when those auctions just, explode.
So this is all about the shifts you have to make. We're not talking about your everyday optimization. We're talking about overriding your business as usual settings just to survive.
Precisely.
Okay, let's do it. Let's start with A for automation.
Right.
I mean, most of us, we rely so heavily on automated bidding strategies, target ROAS, max conversions, all of that. But when Black Friday weekend hits, the whole environment changes so fast. The algorithms can, choke on their own settings. So what did the sources say we should do? How do we stop our own systems from breaking?
What's really fascinating here is that it depends on the context of your sale. If you're running a longer promotion, say something for 14 days or more.
Like a Cyber Weeks type of thing.
Exactly. Then the automation can actually learn and handle that volume spike. But only if your return on ad spend targets, your ROAS goals, stay pretty stable. The first instinct to just panic and switch everything to manual is usually the wrong one.
I get that in theory, but if I see my performance tank on day one, my first thought is to jump in and start pulling levers. So when does the research say we should step in?
You step in to give the system more room to breathe, not to take over from it. The real problem isn't the algorithm's intelligence. It's the CPCs.
The cost per click.
Right. It just inevitably spikes because every single one of your competitors is bidding up. And if your max bids, that hard cap on what you've allowed the system to pay, are too low, then your automation is basically handcuffed from the start.
Ah, okay. So if the algorithm figures out a click is worth, I don't know, $12 based on conversion data, but my old max bid is still stuck at $8 from October.
It just stops competing.
Yeah.
It literally can't bid for that valuable traffic.
Yeah.
The automation might even try to lower its bid to stay in budget, but that can accidentally signal lower quality to the platform.
Which hurts your ad rank, and then you end up paying more for a worse position. It's a spiral.
You got it. So tactic one is simple. You have to temporarily raise those max bids on your best campaigns. You're giving the algorithm the financial freedom it needs to operate and win in that high-stakes game.
That's such a critical point. It's not just about spending more. It's about maintaining your quality and rank. Okay, so we give the system breathing room. But what about the budget itself? We've all had that nightmare, right? You wake up on Black Friday and your whole daily budget was gone by 10 a.m.
And that leads right into tactic two, proactive spend monitoring. And I have to stress, you cannot rely on the platform's own budget-limited warnings.
Why not? They seem helpful.
Because they're often delayed by hours. And hours on Black Friday is an eternity. You could be totally dark during the absolute peak demand window and not even know it.
So what does proactive actually look like? The source material mentioned using rules or scripts, which, that sounds kind of vague and complicated.
It's like a concrete.
Yeah.
A simple script is just an automated check. It runs every hour. Instead of waiting for the platform to say you've hit 100% of your budget, you figure out how much you should have spent.
Like a pacing check.
Exactly. Say you have a $10,000 daily budget. By noon, you should have spent around $5,000. If your script runs and sees you've already spent $7,000, it pings you immediately. It lets you know you're overpacing, and you can add more funds before the platform just throttles you.
It's an early warning system. You're not waiting for the fire alarm when the whole building is already on fire.
You're preventing the fire.
Oh.
And this idea of urgency, it connects directly to our next point, the B for budgets.
Right.
The old way of thinking, holding back most of your spend until that final week of November, it just doesn't work anymore. The research phase now pays off huge dividends.
This is where that really surprising data point comes in, isn't it? The sources pointed to a B2B study where something like 92% of buyers bought from a vendor they saw on day one of their shortlisting. 92%.
That's a staggering number, right?
Yeah.
And okay, we should be clear, that's a B2B study. The stakes are higher in corporate buying, so it's not a direct one-to-one for someone buying, I don't know, a sweater.
First.
But the principle behind it is universal. Early visibility dictates who makes the final cut.
Explain that, the shortlisting idea for, say, a typical shopper.
Well, think about how you shop for anything important. You don't wait until the last second. People start looking for deals and products in early November. They're making wish lists. They're adding things to their cart. They're researching brands.
They're doing their homework.
They are. And if your ad isn't there during that planning phase, you're not even in the running when they're finally ready to buy. You've been eliminated before the game even starts.
So if my whole strategy is to just pour money in for the 3 days of the big sale, I've probably already lost to the competitors who were just there consistently all month long.
That's it, precisely. You cannot afford to go dark or even just slow play your budget in early and mid-November anymore. You're fighting for mind share long before you're fighting for the actual transaction.
Okay, so what's the actionable takeaway for our listeners on budgets?
You need to aim for a strong, consistent presence across the entire month. This doesn't mean you spend at Black Friday rates on November 1st. But it means you avoid those big dips. You have to capture the early researchers to dominate that initial shortlist.
Consistency, not just a last-minute spike. That's a huge shift in thinking.
All right, let's move to our last letter, C for creative. This is where it gets fun, because we're talking about breaking the rules.
We are.
So, best practice for responsive search ads for RSAs is to pin as little as possible, right? You want to give the algorithm total flexibility to test everything.
That's the standard advice, yes.
But Black Friday is different. So how do we handle ad copy when the stakes are this high?
The research is really clear on this one. Black Friday promotions are all about urgency and specifics, and that priority completely overrides the standard best practices for RSAs. Your goal shifts from long-term learning to maximum clarity and getting that conversion right now.
And to do that, you have to take some control back from the automation, 100%. So tactic 1 is to start by pinning your new Black Friday headlines to the top positions. Position 1 or position 2.
So you're forcing it.
You are forcing the visibility of your 30% off offer. It's essential, because if you don't, the algorithm might just keep showing your old, non-promotional headline like free shipping just because it performed well historically.
And you completely miss the window to scream about your deal.
You miss the whole point. You have to deliberately displace those old top performers to get the critical deal messaging front and center. But just changing headlines isn't quite enough.
Right. There's all that other real estate on the page. How do we make sure we're using every last pixel?
And that's tactic 2. So don't forget the extras. You have to use the specialized ad extensions, specifically promotion extensions, and if you sell physical products, Google Merchant Center promotions.
Okay, for anyone listening who isn't deep in the PPC weeds every day, what are those and why are they better than just, stuffing the discount into the description text?
So Google Merchant Center, or GMC, is what powers your shopping ads. Using its Promotions tab lets you put that deal text, like 20% off at checkout, right into the visual shopping results. It's unmissable.
And promotion extensions.
Those show up as these little clickable links right under your main text ad. They let you highlight your other unique selling points, your USPs, things like extended holiday returns or guaranteed delivery. Get to show all that great stuff without using up your precious headline and description characters.
So it makes the deal impossible to miss, and it adds all that valuable context that might push someone to click. It's a win-win.
Exactly. It increases the visibility and the quality of your ad at the same time.
So we have a really clear path forward here. A for automation is about raising those max bids and using proactive scripts to monitor spend. B for budgets is shifting to be consistent all through November to capture that early research. And C for creative is about breaking the rules, pinning your best offers, and using every extension you can.
It's a solid roadmap for hitting peak performance when the pressure's really on. But, this whole conversation raises a bigger question, something for you to think about.
Oh.
If we have to override best practices for our creatives, and we have to front-load our budgets just to stay competitive, what key metrics, other than just ROAS, should you be looking at to judge the health of your automation when demand just skyrockets? How do you really measure the value of that early research if it doesn't lead to a sale right away?
That is something to mull over. How do you value being on the short list? A fantastic thought to end on.
It's a critical piece of the puzzle.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope these insights help you become instantly well-informed and give you that tactical edge you need this season.